Hi, I'm Droolbatz. So nice to see you. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2015 horror film Visitant. I'm going to be reviewing it based on its premise, its production value, and finally how it compares or contrasts to other films of the genre. I hope you enjoy. Samantha is a down-on-her-luck actress who's struggling financially and hasn't really been able to get any good acting gigs. So she's kind of resorted to working as a fake fortune teller at this really run-down, like, beachside strip mall kind of place. One day, a really befuddled and distressed woman comes in saying, please, please, you've got to help me. Samantha's like, I'm sorry, we're closed. It's after hours. And he's like, please, I'll give you extra. Please, please, I'll pay you double or whatever. Samantha needs the money, so she says, sure, come on in. The lady basically says she's haunted and she doesn't know what to do. She thinks Samantha's a real fortune teller. Samantha isn't sure that she believes in ghosts or anything, but the woman keeps adding money on the table and she wants to take it, so she grabs the woman's hands and makes her close her eyes and visualize and says to the spirit, leave this woman alone, find your way home, leave this woman. And, sparks fly, everyone screams. It seems like the woman is free of her ghost. She thanks Samantha so much and leaves. Almost immediately, however, Samantha starts experiencing weird phenomenon. When she gets out to her car immediately after the reading, the radio starts going crazy, her brakes start acting up, just really odd things. It doesn't stop when she gets to her home. She has a lot of weird things going on with the electronics in her house. Her hamster is suddenly out of his cage. Just crazy things. She calls her friend Maya. Samantha's husband was killed in a tragic car accident 1 year ago today, so Samantha thinks she's kind of struggling with that emotion. Maya's like, girl, you need to get out of the house, let's go party it up, whatever. Samantha doesn't know how she feels about that. Weird stuff keeps going on as the night goes on. This voice says, I spoiled your milk, as she's eating cereal, and suddenly the milk tastes terrible. Just all sorts of crazy things. She gets really concerned and contacts Maya, and Maya says, I think you have a visitant. The editing in this movie was really tight, and as a result, there was really no room to get bored. The movie really clipped right along, and the suspense was high throughout the entire movie. There were really no areas of dead or wasted footage, in my opinion. Every scene, even the little bantery scenes, felt like they were there for a reason. They were, in the beginning, either establishing who Samantha was and kind of her situation, or they were completely dedicated to progressing the story. So props to whoever edited and directed this movie. It was very tight, and the suspense was high, the scares were frequent and well spaced out throughout the movie, so you were really intrigued right from the get-go. Whoever made this movie knew exactly what they were doing, and as a result, it was really fun to watch. This movie really utilized music in an effective way to heighten the suspense and add tension to the film. The music was all traditional type sound effects, but it really worked, and just because of how it was used really added a lot of ambiance to this film. The acting in this movie was also very solid. Some of the minor characters, like at the very beginning of the film, were a little bit less convincing, but the main actresses were very good and really convinced me of everything that they were trying to do. The script also was pretty effective. For the most part, it was all a very believable script. It flowed pretty nicely. There were a few scenes where Samantha's friend Maya discusses different classes of spirits, she's saying, it's a 3rd order 10th class or whatever, and I'll admit I did not know where that was going. I didn't know what that was about because that's not something I know about. I've never honestly heard about it before this movie. But the character Samantha didn't seem to know about it either. So I'm not sure why that was in the movie. That was the only issue I really had with the script was I don't know why that was in there, because it didn't really come back to my knowledge. But either way, it was kind of interesting, and it did add to the notion that Maya is kind of like really into like ghosts and like knows what she's talking about. So maybe that was why it was in there. So like I said, the movie really clipped along and was edited very tightly. There were quite a few very artistic shots in this movie, which you don't necessarily see a lot in low budget movies, which is fine because you don't need it per se, but especially at the beginning, there were some really artistic shots that really impressed me and kind of had me searching for more for the rest of the movie. Now I'm going to be discussing how this movie stands apart from or blends into other films of the genre. I will be spoiling this movie, so if you don't want any spoilers, please leave now. I provided the link to watch this movie for free in the description, so if you're interested, I highly suggest that you click that link and go watch it for free. It's been so nice having you. For the rest of you who have stuck around, thank you so much. So Maya tells Samantha that there's a visitant. She says, I don't know what order it is, but you clearly don't want it hanging around. It's creeping you out. You're in a vulnerable position anyway, just because, you know, your grief and stuff from your husband's passing. I'll help you, but you need to like sage the house while I'm gone with this white sage. I'll be there in like 20 minutes. So Samantha starts saging the house. The visitant starts rattling around and is creeping her out. When the visitant starts knocking things over, it knocks over her bag with like her get up for her day job. And she notices the business card of the woman that she had helped get rid of the visitant. She notices it's like a real estate card, and she suddenly realizes, this is the woman who hit her husband with the car a year ago. She's so upset. She calls the lady right away and is like, I know it's you who hit my husband with the car, and that's why you were being haunted, whatever. And the lady has no idea who this is or whatever, but she's like, you know, you don't understand it. I didn't hit him with my car. It was like he like pulled out in front of me real fast and like smashed into a tree, and I couldn't stop my car. But he crashed before I had anything to do with it. And when I got out to check on him, I felt something like heavy come over me. Samantha starts thinking that the visitant is her husband. And she's like, oh no, I've been saging him out of my house. Oh! So she says, please no, Stephen, like I welcome you back. I welcome you back. Please come back. I need you, Stephen. And she sets out like one of his old sketchbooks for him he used to be like an artist. So his office is filled with creepy mannequins, creepy paintings, just creepy stuff because he's a creepy dude, I guess. And she can't understand what the spirit is trying to write. She knocks over some Scrabble tiles and they spell out Stephen. She gets really excited, but then she notices Stephen is spelled with a V and her Stephen is spelled with a PH. And she goes, you're not Stephen. And when the visitant realizes she knows what's up, it starts attacking her. There's a huge fight scene. Maya gets there just a tad too late, and Samantha has been killed by the visitant, and suddenly Maya is haunted by the visitant. So my interpretation on that is that her husband, who bought a bunch of creepy dolls and stuff from some other country, probably got the visitant when he was over there. It was haunting him, so to get rid of it, he crashed his car. Then it haunted the real estate agent, then Samantha, then Maya, etc. As far as ghost movies go with like haunting people and stuff, it didn't really present anything new. I didn't think it needed to. You kind of know what you're going to get in a movie about ghosts or whatever. It's an oversaturated genre as it is, and if you're expecting something really unique, then you're going to get your hopes dashed frequently. But that said, it was very solid. It kind of followed the more traditional route kind of established in The Exorcist of like a person being haunted rather than like a house. So as far as curses that can be passed on, I've seen a lot of these movies recently. Obviously, It Follows is to me like a classical example from recent memory, but also there's another film called Ghost House that's kind of a similar concept. The haunting entity can be passed from person to person. As far as this movie goes, in It Follows, the main girl who's being haunted, by the thing is very much an active protagonist. You kind of like learn her feelings in her life. You see her trying to deal with the creature, trying to get rid of it. You see her trying to fight it, and you just kind of like see everything from her perspective. This movie was kind of similar to that one in that Samantha was a very active protagonist. She tried to get rid of it, then she changed her mind. She tried to fight it. she tried to get Stephen back. You know, you saw her grief and everything. It very much reminded me of It Follows in that way, in a positive way, that Samantha was an active protagonist. Ghost House kind of lacked that active protagonist. The girl who was being haunted, you saw a little bit of her personality kind of in the beginning, but she almost immediately just becomes kind of this passive vessel for her fiance to kind of try to get rid of the curse. And it didn't feel very satisfactory in that film. And it's not even like, oh, I want, you know, a strong female. It's not really that. It's just from the perspective of someone who's being haunted, it's very scary, versus from the perspective of an outside party who's trying to save someone else. It's just a little bit less of an emotional investment, I guess. And it's just less scary because you're not seeing it from the scared person's perspective. Like, obviously the person saving them might be scared, but it's not quite the same thing. I heard the term somewhere called like sympathetic magic or a sympathetic curse, being that you can pass it on from person to person. I think as far as like a sympathetic curse, like entity that can be passed on, it was more similar to It Follows, just in that this movie utilized an active protagonist. If I had to rate this movie, I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was so solid. It was just a great movie. It clipped right along. It was artistic. It was easy to hear. The suspense and tension were high. The only way that I could give it that 5th star is probably if it had a more unique concept, which, let's get real, most haunting type movies have a very similar premise. But I knew that going in, and I was okay. I still think they took this concept and made it their own. So I found it to be a really enjoyable film, and I do highly recommend this movie. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts if you have any. If you've seen this movie, did you enjoy it? What would you have done if you were in Samantha's situation? Let me know any comments you have. I love to hear them all. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you liked this review. It makes me happy. And if you are interested, I do make horror movie reviews, so please consider subscribing if you are so inclined. But no pressure, obviously. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.